Welcome to section 1.4. In this video, we are going to learn how to take numbers to positive whole powers. So let's take a look at the first subsection. In this, we want to answer, what does it mean to square a number? So before we answer that question, let's actually work through these examples, and then based off the examples, we're going to go back and try and answer the question. So for example 1, this, we have 2 squared. So I'm just going to write this here. This, how to say this out loud is 2 squared. So like if you ever wanted to read this problem to someone, this is how you would hear it be talked out loud or verbally. This is how you say this verbally, 2 squared. So this is asking us to multiply 2 times. So we have 2 times 2. So this is what this is asking us. Multiply 2 times. And 2 times 2 is 4. So that is our answer for this one. And in this one here, verbally, you can say this as 4 squared. Let me make that more squared. So in this case, this is asking us to multiply 4 2 times. So we have 4 times 4. That equals 16. So 4 squared is 16. And then here, to say this out loud verbally, this is 7 squared. And 7 squared, in other words, is asking us what is 7 times 7. And 7 times 7 is 49. So, based off everything we just went through in these examples, what do you think it means to square a number? And I encourage you to pause the video and take a moment to think about it. So assuming you have tried to answer this question, to square a number, it essentially means we multiply a given number by itself 2 times. I apologize, I did not leave enough room. 2 times for this. But yeah. So moving forward, now let's talk about whenever we take numbers to something more than just something squared. So as likewise in this first subsection here, we are going to go through the examples first, actually, before we answer this question of can we create a general rule for taking integers to any positive power? So with that being said, here we have 3 cubed. So if you ever have a number to the power of 3, you'll hear people say a certain number cubed. So since we have 3 here, that's why I said we have 3 cubed. So if you want to write that down somewhere, definitely write that down. But this is asking us here to multiply 3 times. So we have 3 times 3 times 3. So in this case, whenever you have multiplication and you have to multiply more than just 2 numbers, you always want to start from the left and work to the right. So let's start from the left. So we're starting at 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. And then we can't forget that other times 3. And 9 times 3 is 27. So 3 cubed, our answer is 27. So moving on to example 2, I encourage you to pause the video and give this one a try on your own, assuming you have given a go at it. This is asking us to multiply 4 times. So we have 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. So remember, let's work from left to right. So 4 times 4 is 16. And then we got the times 4 and the times 4. And then 16 times 4 is 64. And then we got one more times 4. So 64 times 4, that is going to be 256. Oops, there we go. Looking at example 3, we have 5 to the 6th power. So this is asking us to multiply 5 6 times. So we have 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Wait, how many times 5? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is what it's asking us. And so we have 5 times 5, which is 25, times 5, times 5, times 5, times 5. So you might be thinking, well, Mason, this is very long. And that is true. So one trick that you can use is usually on a calculator, there will be a button that you can use to raise a number to a certain power. That'll help you out with these more long problems. But I encourage you not to use that, and I encourage you to use this process just so you can really understand and develop the idea of what it means to take a number to a certain power. But anyways, my apologies, I got off track. So let's do 25 times 5. So 25 times 5 is 125. 125 times 5 times 5 and then times 5. So 125 times 5 is 625. And if we were to keep going on multiplying out, our final answer is going to be 15,625. Now, moving on to example 4, I encourage you to pause the video and give this a try on your own. Assuming you have given this a try, let's work through it. So for example 4, we have 1 to the 10,000th power. So you may notice, you'd be like, 10,000, that is a large number. And it is a large number. But the one thing I want to try and get across in this example is 1 to any power, 1 to any power is always going to equal 1. So in this case, 1 to the 10,000th power is 1. And the reason is, because, right, let's say if we had 1 to the 3rd power, or 1 cubed. That would be 1 times 1 times 1. 1 times 1 is 1, and then 1 times 1 is 1. So regardless of your power, 1 to any power is always going to be 1. And then looking at example 5, we have 3.6 cubed. So for this one, I encourage you to put this one in your calculator because it's not as easy to do it mentally or by hand. So because it is a decimal, so I'm going to put 3.6 in my calculator and raise it to the 3rd power. And our answer is going to be 46.656. Now I encourage you to practice putting in 3.6 cubed into whatever calculator that you're using to see until you get the right answer. So then you can see, oh, okay, this is how I put a number to raise to a power in my calculator. And last but not least, we have 0 to the 7th power. Now I encourage you to try this on your own before we work through it. Assuming you have given this a try. This is, since we have 0 to the 7th power, in other words, this is 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 times 0 times 0. Let me make sure that I wrote 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, okay. So we have 7 zeros. We'll be like, well, anything times 0 is 0. So in this case, this is 0. And here, one thing you may notice, so I'll write this here as a rule too. 0, anything, 0 to anything is always going to be 0, regardless of how large the number is, because anything times 0 is 0. So our last question, the last thing to answer in this lecture is, can we create any general rules for taking integers, or any, I should replace that, not integers, so we're taking numbers to any positive power. And if we take a look, I encourage you to pause the video before I answer this. But we actually can. And that is whenever any number raised to a power is how many times you multiply the number by. So any number raised to a power is how many times you multiply the number by. So that's kind of confusing, but like, you know, so if we have the number 3 raised to the third power, that means that's how many times you multiply 3, the number itself. So we have 3 times 3 times 3. So yeah, thank you for coming to this lecture, and I can't wait to see you at lecture 1.5.